Hey howdy, hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. Just recently, a game that I covered back in the day got a couple huge updates and I wanted to see where the game was at now. So I hopped in, played the new game modes, played the new maps, and I started thinking, what happened to this game? Why is barely anyone playing it nowadays? The game in question is World War III, a free-to-play tactical first-person shooter developed by Farm 51. This game at one point was considered the Battlefield killer. Now it's nothing more than a shell of its former glory. Let's talk about where World War III is today. You're gonna want to stick around for this one, I can promise you. But before we get into that, if it ain't too much to ask, if you make it to the end of the video and you like what you see, then consider hitting that sub button for more content like this. Let's get into it. World War III, as I mentioned before, is a free-to-play first-person tactical shooter that has a staggering likeness to Battlefield, and during the time that this game was at its peak popularity, myself and many of my fellow content-creating friends truly believed that this game would single-handedly end the Battlefield franchise. When I first discovered this game, it was in a closed beta state, and for a beta title, the game didn't have much content to it, but the content it did have was good enough to hold us down until the game went free-to-play and fully released. For $15, no one could really complain, and during this game's peak, it seemed like a better option to buy into versus the $70 price tag of Battlefield 2042. I should also mention that during this game's aforementioned popularity spike, Farm 51 would continuously announce that the game would be going into a free-to-play state soon, which would include a battle pass, more maps, more game modes, more weapons, and better servers. World War III would, however, start tripping over its damn feet a lot during this time because I remember clear as day that the servers were constantly taken down to run server maintenance on them. And I'm not talking about 2 or 3 times a week or every 2 weeks. I'm talking every single goddamn day the servers will be taken offline just to do upkeep and maintenance. For those of you who are curious, these sessions would last anywhere from 30 minutes to a few hours every single time the servers got taken down. On top of that, we were constantly being told that the free-to-play launch would be pushed back a week, 3 weeks, a month, 3 months, and eventually I decided in my mind that the fucking game would never go free to play, so I just stopped playing entirely. The future for this game seemed more than unsure than ever, but on September 29th, 2022, Farm 51 would publicly announce that the game would be in a free-to-play open beta state. And the reception was, well, no one really knows because the servers, you know, the ones that they spent all the time working on and trying to fix, yeah, they did not work worth the shit when it dropped. As a result of ongoing and painstaking server issues, World War III's player base dropped by over 50% in about a month. And to put that into perspective, September showed World War III's player base being at about 500 players. October came and that number jumped to over 4,000, and in November, the player count dropped back down to only 1,700 players. Let's get forward to the first major content update since September 29th. On December 8th of the same year, Farm 51 dropped Operation Redline for World War III. In this content update, we got 2 new maps, those being Gobi for TDM and DMZ for TAC Ops, and on top of that, we got 3 new operators, 2 new weapons, and 3 new ordnance strikes. This update also brought along new features such as point shooting techniques and new improvements to things like lean reloading and improved collision. And from what I remember seeing, people genuinely enjoyed Operation Redline. It seemed to pump a new breath of fresh air into this game. The maps were really well made, things felt a bit more balanced than people remember, and for many of the constant players, the game felt like Farm 51 had finally found their bearings. The game didn't see very many issues with server performances, even though the server maintenance takedowns were still happening during this time, but I didn't see very many people saying horrible things about it. More so, I would constantly see people saying that they weren't going back to play the game. They couldn't justify going back to play the game only for 2 new maps and a few new guns, and I personally can't blame them at all. You gotta think, most of the people who quit playing World War III was back when the game was in a closed beta state, back when the only content that was in the game was already there for a few years at this point. So waiting months or years for 2 maps and no new game modes felt like a swift kick in the dick for many fans of the title. Let's skip forward to more recent times. March 30th, 2023, 4 months after Operation Redline, Farm 51 drops Operation Sunstorm. With this new operation, World War III got 2 new game modes, those game modes being Fubar and Domination, 2 maps named Tokyo for Tactical Ops and Fubar, and Shibuya for Team Deathmatch and Domination respectively. We also got Operator, Weapon, and Strike blueprints alongside a new Battle Pass. This new content drop for World War III has been the roughest one by far, and the biggest issue that everyone has had is about the hitching that takes place when you move around and the damn servers. Are you starting to see a pattern here? More specifically, the ping being so high that you can't do shit while you're playing. Their Steam numbers also reflect that people are just fed up with their inability to figure out the server issues. In January, World War III had about 1,130 people playing the game, and as of April 4, 2023, the day when this video goes out, the game has around 700 people give or take on any given day. To add some more insult to injury, I looked at the official World War III Twitter page, and a tweet from March 30th, 2023 says that the servers would be taken down for 6 hours to work on issues with the servers. Just thought I should add that in before jumping into what I see happening to World War III. This game by no means is a horribly developed game, and in its most basic form, World War III is something that many OG Battlefield fans like myself truly appreciate and cherish because it reminds us of a much simpler and better time in the franchise's history. World War III graphics wise looks great and it feels great, and for the amount of time I've played it, I've never had a single issue with gun balancing, game glitches, etc., and if I did, they were so minute I don't even remember them. But Farm 51 shot World War III and permanently disfigured it by simply sitting on their asses while 2042 was under immense fire. I wholeheartedly believe without a doubt in my mind that if World War III entered that free-to-play state like they had been saying forever at this point, and they did it in the midst of 2042's failure, the conversation about this game would be 100% different. The biggest competition that Farm 51 faces to this day is themselves. They are their own worst enemy when it comes to World War III by a fucking landslide. And let's not forget this little fact. When it comes to getting content out the door and into its players' hands, Farm 51 is one of the worst at it. Now, I'm not so impatient to where if I don't get a new map every month, I'm gonna shit my pants in anger, but if I have to wait 5 years for only 3 content drops and continuously get updated that content is being pushed back, then why the fuck would I stick around any longer than I want to? As much as I love this game for what it is, I cannot support this project moving forward if this company keeps having the issues it's having. I don't see this game making it much longer without some much needed tender love and care thrown its way. I just don't see it happening, to be honest. The player numbers are low and 2042 is finally starting to work on catching up to the expectations set by fans of the series. But much like the game mode they added in, this game is foobar. Fucked up beyond all recognition. If you guys enjoyed what you've seen, then consider hitting that like button, that sub button, and content drop that notification bell for more content like this. And as always, my name is Redbeard Mortis. Take care of yourselves and each other, and I'll see you guys in the next one. But until then, I am fucking out of here.